Hello everyone, I'm Lance. Welcome to this video. Today we are going to talk about how to use Lightning Web Component to build drag and drop functionality. To give you an idea about what I'm going to introduce today, here's a brief demo. So basically I've built two versions of drag and drop using Lightning Web Component. So one is a plain version, the other is a little bit more sophisticated version with a little bit animation. Here's a plain version of drag and drop. So if I drag and drop here, you can see it's actually working fine, but it doesn't have any animation here, so it's working for most situations. But if you want a little bit fancier stuff, you can come to this solution here. So you can see if I move this one, you can see the animation is happening in this case. So which makes it a little bit fancier and a little bit more code as well. I'm going to introduce both solutions. In today's video, I'm going to introduce the first version first. In my next video, I'm going to introduce the solution with the animations. And for both solutions, you can find the code in my GitHub repository, and I'll post a link in the section down below. In the next video, I'm going to introduce the solution with a little bit more animation. For both solutions, the code are included in my GitHub repository, and I'll post a link down below. Now let's come to the code. Okay, now let's come to the code. As you can see, for each solution we have three separate components, which is a DND component, which is a main container, and we have the DND list, which is a list of the items, which is a list of the cards, and we have the DND item here. So to go back to the browser page, we have this is a whole container, and we have the work in progress and the complete list, and in each one we have the Angular React, which is item there. And we can see in this one, we have the task data, which is hard-coded here. We have the tasks, and the task, which in each task we have the task ID, which we need to distinguish each task, and we have the name of the task, which pass into the item to display the title of the card, and also we have the category, which decides which list it belongs to. And in the HTML, basically we have a Lightning layout and Lightning layout item to put things into different lists. And in the list, we have a UL and LI in each item so that it displayed in a vertical order. And for each item, we'll use a Lightning card to display the task body. As you can see, the task body is hard-coded task body. It should actually be dynamic, but I'm tired of creating the data, so it's just less to be hard-coded here. To implement drag and drop, basically there are several events and several classes you need to define in your HTML. So first thing, the thing you want to be able to drag, you need to have a class called draggable, and you also need to define the draggable to be true. And also need to listen to the onDragStart event. And also in the place you want to actually drop the stuffs, you need to handle two events, which is called onDragOver and onDrop. We actually don't need to handle too much about the onDragOver event, since we just prevent the default, which I'll show you later. And also when you define the class to be droppable here, I want to handle the onDrop event here. So let's get into the JavaScript code. In the item code, basically we need to take the task ID of the drag task and pass it all the way up to its parent, to the list, and then to the container class. Basically we need to file a custom event here, which is called item drag start. And then in the list component, we need to listen to that event and handle it here. And in the list HTML, we also need to handle the drag over and drop event. In the JavaScript of the list component, in the drag over, we just need to prevent default. Honestly, I don't know what is the default behavior here, but since the drag and drop in every solution from the very beginning, from vanilla JavaScript and to React.js to everything else, is preventing default here. I think it might be better to prevent default here as well. And also for the item drag start, we just handle the event passed from a DND item. Actually, we just don't handle it here. We just listen to it and we pass it all the way up to its parent container, which we handle the detail, pass the detail as well. And in the drop class, we didn't handle it as well. We pass into the parent to handle, which we pass the category in the detail of the event, and we pass it as an event called item drop. The reason we want to pass the category is because we want the container to know which is the dragged item. We also want to know the destination of the dragged item where it dropped into. So that's the two things we basically want the container to know. And in the container class, we handle both things. We handle the item drag, we handle the item drop in both cases. Now to the JavaScript of the container. We have the distribute task. So in the container, we have the task list, which we hold the tasks for the whole thing, and we have the left tasks, which is the tasks for the work in progress one. We have the right tasks here, which in two different arrays, and we have the distribute tasks, which we distribute the tasks into left category and the right category arrays here. This is called in the kinetic callback as well. And in the handle of the item drag and item drop, when we have the item drag start, we listen to the drag ID and assign the drag ID to the this.dragging ID. We just remember it there. And when we drop it, we copy the dragging ID and the category into two variables. Then we filter the main task list and find the task which has the task ID of the current dragging ID. And we assign that category to the target category, where we drop the item into. And we return the whole task here, and which is the tasks here. And when we assign the task back to the task list, the last thing we need to do is we distribute tasks again, so it distributes back into left and right task list. So that's basically how everything works for a drag and drop for the basic solution. As you can see, it's basically working. But if you want to have more animation there, so we'll be cover that in the next video. Okay, that's all what we have for today. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you for that. Bye.